let's be real, silence is scary. Especially when you hear, or sometimes that we're going to hear things in the silence that maybe we don't want to hear. Look, when I think back on the events of the past couple weeks, well, it shouldn't be shocking to us, right? Like, Jesus himself pre-warned us some of the craziness that we'd see in the days and times in which we live. It doesn't mean it's still not a little jarring whenever we get a glimpse into the reality and the presence of evil in our world. And I'll be honest, like it was a wrestling match. I mean, it was a wrestling match literally to preach last week, and let alone to just sit in the silence. Because what I wanted to do, in the light of the events with Charlie Kirk and in Charlotte, and maybe even just as horrific as those events were people's responses. That there would be people that actually celebrate the murder of somebody, regardless of how they felt about them. And I really wrestled with that. I just really struggled with that. And it was hard to get in the silence, because what I wanted to do was I wanted to live in my own bubble. I just wanted to, complain and kind of go down the rabbit hole of hate and frustration and live in my own little echo chamber, if you will. I didn't want to just sit and pray and see God and his word, because I knew I was going to hear some things I didn't want to hear. And not about what's going on there, but what's going on in here. As I began, to spend time just seeking him, like he began to bring scriptures to mind that, again, I didn't want to hear. Like Matthew 5, verse 43 says, "You've heard the law says, love your neighbor and hate your enemy, but I say love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you." Because let's be real, it's hard to hate somebody you're praying for, isn't it? Or going on to say this, in that same way you'll be acting as the true children of your Father in heaven. In other words, the moment we start seeing the world as us versus them, how many know it's no longer about him? I began to hear other verses that he's spoken in my life. Romans 12:21 says, "Don't let evil conquer you, but conquer evil by doing good." And it was while sitting still before God in the tremble of silence in prayer and in his word, it forced me to confront some of the hate and unforgiveness that was trying to take root inside of me. And some of the walls that were starting to go up around my heart. And if I'm really gut level honest, revealing some of the fear that was starting to well up inside of me as well. Where so much of me just wants to escape under the covers and close my eyes to the hurt and the needs and the wounds and the issues and the spiritual battle at play out there. And yet, look, getting back to that passage we opened up with in Mark 13, especially given the times we live in, listen, I think if that prophetic story should remind us of anything, it should remind us that now is not the time to shut people out, but to invite God in. Again, look at these words, he says. "Therefore keep watch, because you do not know when the owner of the house will come back, whether in the evening or at midnight, or when the rooster crows or at dawn. If he comes suddenly, do not let him find you sleeping." What I say to you, I say to everyone, watch, be ready, be prepared. In other words, hey, wake up. Now's not the time to ride out your days napping in the lazy boy, closing your eyes to it because it's scary. This is a time we're supposed to be living our lives eyes wide open, knowing that, listen, the only hope for a world gone mad is a God who's mad about the world. Come on, somebody. The only hope for a world gone mad is a God who is mad about the world. A God who's so crazy and madly in love with you that he was literally willing to go through hell to get to you, to get through to you. And if he was willing to do that for you, how can I not do that for others? Where we're in these moments that maybe cause you and I to doubt our faith in humanity. Could it be that behind that frustration and behind so much of that angst, that anger, is we're putting our faith in humanity when our faith should have been totally and completely in God, in the goodness of our God, the grace of our God, the redemptive mercy of our God, especially given the day and times we live. I'll wrap up with this, but I remember a few years back, Holly was out of town in California at a hair conference, and so Austin and I we knew she was going to be getting back soon, and so we rushed to kind of clean up the house. so we could, try to create the illusion that we hadn't been living in this, dirty, messy man cave and bachelor pad that we'd kind of allowed it to devolve into. And so I asked Austin, I'm like, Austin, you're going to have to help me out with this. And so we ran around, we did the dishes, we did the laundry, we scrubbed the bathroom so that when she got back, she, again, would find the place not looking like this disaster of a man cave. And look, I wish I could tell you that the reason why we did all that cleaning was just because we love her. But that's only half the story. We love her, but we're also a little low-key afraid of her too. So I'm like, I better tell us, I'm not about to hear your mom come in like, what did you guys do the whole time? I didn't want to hear that. And again, it wasn't fear because I was afraid that she was going to come chastise us or afraid of messing up as much as missing out. Missing out on hearing her say those words, hey, well done. It looks great. And again, this is why I say that, because get back to those words, and Jesus shares in Mark 13, we're reminded that one day, how many know Jesus is coming back? Jesus is coming home. Well, one day we're going to see him face to face, and when we see him face to face, I don't know about you, but I want to make sure that everything he told me to do, everything he told me to say, every place he told me to go, every person he told me to love, even when they're hard to love, every ministry he told me to start, every word he told me to preach, everything he asked me to do, that I did it all the way, I did it the right way, I did it in a happy way, I did it to completion. That I'd be able to hear those words, well done.